Welcome back to the channel. Now I'm your girl Denise Brady, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and today I really want to focus on the 5 reasons we as Black women suffer in silence and how high functioning depression is at that core. Okay. Now let's get straight into it. Lately we've been seeing a lot more about high functioning depression in Black women. Tiffany Haddish to me is one person that we have seen to me suffering from depression, even Marcel, and just how people, we Black women, suffer in silence. We have what I call a lot of trauma, a lot of unhealed wounds from our parents and spaces nowadays making us feel like we have to water ourselves down, like we are not enough, okay? Like we can't hold space. A lot of us struggle to hold space, and that is why it is so hard for us to acknowledge, talk about, discuss depression as Black women. As a therapist, I see a lot of Black women who, when I say that they have depression, they look at me like, what? Me? Depression? I even had clients where I told them they had depression after maybe the first or second session and they never came back. I think it was a shock to hear that the stuff that they see on TV, the stuff that they hear people talking about, them other people, is happening to me. It's a reality shock. It's a shock for them. It's a, ooh, that cut me deep, Denise. You telling me I have depression? Yes, because it doesn't look the same for us that it looks like for other people. We suffer in silence in so many ways, okay? We suffer because oftentimes no one is looking at us the way we need them to. The way sometimes people look at us is, what can you do for me? I need more from you. Why aren't you doing enough? And so we just put that depression on our backs. We pull on our purse and we walk out that door to take on the world, because the world tells us we have to keep going. Okay. And one of the reasons that we are also suffering in silence is because what we saw in our mothers. Okay. Number one, what you saw in the relationship dynamic in your mother. She just kept going. That mentality right there that we got to keep going, heart disease, cancer, stress in our bodies, an early death, because we are taught to be a superwoman, to keep going, that we have to just fight on. And there are so many people still having that ingrained in them that you have to keep going, which is not true. It is okay to put that superwoman cape down, okay? Now, my second reason I think we suffer in silence is because we feel like we are a burden. That should maybe have been number one, okay? We feel like we are a burden. My stuff is too much. And I often tell my clients, do you open up to people? And they say, no, because they're already going through stuff. I don't want to add my stuff to their stuff. So we stuff, and we feel like we're a burden. Like our problems are too much for others to handle. So we just stuff, and that grows inside of us into something more serious, hypertension, stress. We are already susceptible to other health things, fibroids, because of our family history, hysterectomies, that now this stress is only putting on more of that, the likelihood of more of that stuff happening. Okay, so that was number 2. Number 3, and I kind of said this in number 1 with that superwoman complex. If I don't do it, who will? If I don't call in to work and show up for the meeting, the conference, my kid's school, my husband, as a friend, what else can I think of? If I don't continue all these responsibilities, who will? Who's gonna carry the weight? You feel like if I don't do it, who will? Okay. So that's another reason, okay? What number are we on? We're not even gonna do numbers no more at this point. I'm just gonna talk about the different reasons because it's so much, I can't list them. As I'm speaking and talking to you now, thinking about my own clients and the things that they go through, the things that I've been through myself, it just feels like I can't list them because there's just so many different things, so many reasons why we as Black women go through depression, suffer in silence. Okay, feel like we have to take on the world. The world shows us and tell us that you're not allowed to be vulnerable. You're not allowed to cry. Depression Girl, you got bills to pay. Depression, you got a graduation to go to. Depression, you got dinner to make. And all of that continues to just, we stuff and stuff and stuff. And oftentimes as Black women, since we are not sharing with our friends, we are only, for some people, coming to me. Sometimes people say the only safe space I have is right here on my couch, talking to you, Miss Denise. And that's just like, wow, you feel safe enough for me, and I love that. I do. But I need you to create more spaces in your life to feel safe. I need you to create more opportunities for yourself to open up. And I get that it's hard to trust. It's hard to let people in, but you need more spaces. Now, looking at Tiffany Haddish and the things that she has gone through these last couple months, you have to think about her history also. She is a foster youth. She's been through the system. She's been through heartache, public relationships. That DUI she got was, to me, a sign for help. And as much as Tiffany is focusing on traveling to different places, lately I think she said she wants to sell her panties. It's a spiral. And it makes me wonder, who does she have around her really talking about, discussing mental health? And as much as we have bridged the gap in some ways between mental health and other communities, and now we're talking about it, there's still a disconnect. There's still denial. There's still a lot of ground we have to break, because people are still not comfortable with talking about and acknowledging, I am living with depression. Notice I didn't say I have depression. Notice I said I am living with depression. Depression does not mean that you are less than. It does not make you a bad person. Okay? It does not determine you as a person. You are living with depression. And as Black women, I hope to create more spaces. I'm only one space that people feel like they can feel safe enough to share and open up about their depression, but we need more safe spaces. And I think for people like Tiffany Haddish, even Marcel saying that post-divorce, she lost all that weight because she was depressed. And it was only like a blimp in the news cycle, okay? But that story is a lot of Black women going through depression, from relationships, divorce, suffering in silence. Who's paying attention? Do you have someone in your life who you can reach out to? Is someone calling you and saying, hey, I noticed that you've been a little bit different. You pulled back from the group. You haven't been coming around. A lot of people don't have that, unfortunately. And that's another reason why Black women suffer in silence, because we feel like we will be judged. Who can we really open up to? Who can we really trust? We have such a history of being in relationships with friendships, significant others, family members, of distrust, that the only person I can trust is myself. And the pressure that puts on you to only trust yourself. We have to break that cycle. We have to break that thought process. So I'm hoping that this video will reach people and we can talk more in the comments, create a community where we are open more about how depression affects Black women, how a lot of Black women are functioning in a state of high functioning depression, because depression for us doesn't look like how it looks like for other people. But until we talk about it more, we accept that it is part of our community also, we'll continue to suffer in silence. So I'm hoping that we'll have an engageful conversation. We can talk about things, break some stigmas, and talk more about how depression affects us. But as I always say, I have clients to help overcome depression. Somebody probably gonna walk in this door any second now. So make sure you like this video, you subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.